Welcome to the 8th edition of the Rep Pod. With me, Wayne Riles, Wayne Baker, Martin Cassidy. We've just been having a chat, really trying to work out how many episodes we are up to. We reckon this is 8. We're going to go with 8 anyway, aren't we, guys? 8'll do.
Yeah, why not?
No special guest today. We're just going to do a little bit of a recap of the guests we've had on, have a little chat about some new news that's come out over the last few days regarding, in my opinion, a crazy change to the offside rule. Martin's got a little bit of poll up on Twitter while we're actually doing the podcast live. And then we've got a few shout outs to give. I've got a message that came through to me from a listener that I'm going to drop on you guys in a minute because you don't know anything about it, or a bit later on in the show. Something that'll be really interesting take for us to get on in a future episode. So we're going to start with Martin and his Twitter poll, because I think it's the most outrageous Twitter poll I've ever heard. And if it had gone against, or if it goes against what I think is right, I might just storm off this pod. So Martin, go on. It's related to this, in my opinion, mental law change that they're going to do. So go on, tell us what you put out there.
Well, before I do that, I've got a more important thing to talk about before we do that, which is my granddaughter Grace, who apparently listens to us in IT lessons.
Really?
She said to me, they call me Gaga, because when she was younger, she couldn't say Gaga, so it stuck me Gaga. And she's in IT with this is Grace Cassidy. She's in IT with Rue, Summer, Bethany, Casey, and Izzy, and they Google us and listen to us. So we got little, they should be doing some work rather than messing around, listen to us nonsense, but just say hello to them, and I'll catch up with my little princess later.
Hello, Grace. I can't think of a better way for her to spend an IT lesson, to be honest.
I mean, if she's anything like, is it your niece, did you say?
Yes, no, she's my granddaughter.
Granddaughter. So if she's anything like a granddad, she'll be a pain in the arse.
I think her dad will say she's a pain in the arse, but I think she's my little princess.
No, listen, thanks for listening, Grace.
What you said, thanks, Grace. What the Grace will turn off now because we start talking about football. So these new suggested Wenger rules, they're going to call them, aren't they? Arsene Wenger rules, where they're changing this.
I can think of a better word starting with W for these new rules, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, we could go Wagner with that bloke who tried to raise Moscow.
Or Wanker.
Well, listen, I think I put a poll up, and it's like on our Twitter accounts. I should change it to fish support rather than ref support, because the amount of people I catch by putting a tweet out is just dead funny. So, of course, with the subject being about this offside law, is I put a tweet out, and I think we might do this when we do record and put something out on the Twitter account, and then we'll talk about it when we do live for like a minute or so. But this one is the question I put up, which was purely fishing, saying, with all the nonsense around offside, do you think football would be better without offside? So just over an hour on, it's at 427 votes. And what do you reckon? Where are we with it?
Got to be 100% no.
100% no.
It's got to be.
Well, you're going
to have a knobhead out there, so let's say 99.
Right, so we've worked out that Wayne's the knobhead and he's voted for the other way around. You've already given us a little snippet on this, and I've got a funny feeling it's going to have gone down, so I'm going to go 75.
It's 82% no.
Oh, still there then.
18. And what's so honest? I feel like getting rid of Netflix, Sky, and just pay attention to my Twitter account, because some of the entertainment I get out of watching this is just tough to roll. Some people.
Go on, you might as well plug it. Go on, you might as well plug it.
Just go to @Ref Support UK on Twitter and you get it. But did
you say @Ref Support UK there?
I did say @Ref Support UK. But there's do you know that Latin thing that Everton have on their badge means not the best on it, nil satis nisi optimum, whatever. There's a bloke who follows us on Twitter, who follows me, and he's just put ridiculous question. As if mate, it's just a question, just chill, lad. It's just a question. It's taking the piss out of the fact that we've messed around with that law for so long. I can't remember a season where the offside law has not been amended, hasn't been tweaked. I can't remember the last time we've had a season. Someone out there must know the answer to that, because That's got to be the most messed about law I have ever known in football. And this thing is going back to the old daylight rule, isn't it? Do you remember someone brought that in? Got to be daylight between, then they bin that. And I just feel as if the IFAB are in a position now, and FIFA, because obviously Wenger's involved, is I just honestly don't know that they know what they want to do. Because every single incident becomes, let's change the law, let's amend the law, let's clarify the law. But what everyone forgets is that grassroots referees have got to sell this. The majority of referees in the world are the ones on their own, no telly, no nothing. And they're having all these, but these fans and these people on the touchlines are going to be give referees stick because they can't judge if there's daylight or it's always onside now. It's gone the other way, hasn't it? It's gone like it's always offside to like everything is onside but it's so. Do you know what I mean? It's like a twist of words, isn't it? It's like saying, do you want fish and chips for your lunch or do you want chips and fish?
Chips and fish.
Yeah.
It's just, what are you doing? So yeah, that's what I sit with. I think it's all mad, really. But I'm not sure what I say.
Pause me a second. I'm going to edit this out. Just look at your microphone setting for me. I'll take this out when I edit it. Just click the arrow at the side of it and tell me what microphone setting it says you've got on. Your microphone's a bit muffled. I'm not sure if it's coming from your laptop again.
Max.
You know, on your laptop, if you look at the bottom on the screen, you've got a little microphone with an arrow at the side of it.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Just while we're on pause and everything there, guys. Martin, this is my son, Max.
All right, Max.
He's starting his referee course on Wednesday.
Fair play.
So just click on the arrow and tell me what it says.
It wasn't on it.
There we
are. It wasn't on. Well, clock, mate.
Yeah, there we are.
All right, Max.
All right, Max.
Yeah, Max.
Something else as well, mate. Aren't you going to tell your dad why you got Most Improved Player of the Year award this year?
We know why, because they were under your bleeding tutelage.
Get in there.
That's better. So you know your mic now. Just have it square onto you, so it's facing you.
Yeah,
well, it is.
There we go.
That's what I thought he had it. That's why I asked early on. I said, "Is that all right?" And he went, "Yeah." It obviously kicked out, didn't it, or something?
Yeah, no, it sounds like unbelievably better now. So yeah, no, that's all good. Right, okay. So we've heard what you've got to say. So, Wayne, do you want to go, and then I'm going to destroy it.
What are you talking about?
The offside law of men we've just been talking about.
Yeah, well, no, of course.
Whoa. Don't start going into it because remember, I'm editing this bit out, so I want you to go into it as you're answering it straight back without anything before it.
Okay.
I'm completely lost.
Just go into answering you. What he said, what we on about? Oh, yeah, you went straight into it. I can't edit it out. It sounds shit. So just from a silent point, go into answering the question.
Well, you do know that I said that football wouldn't be better without the offside rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it needs the offside rule. It just needs clarification. It needs to be easy. And I've always liked the idea of all of body being in, a little bit of daylight. It avoids any kind of, oh yeah, but look, the toenail of his left foot was onside, therefore he's onside. It needs to be all or nothing. There can't be a part. It's got to be everything or nothing.
Do you know what I say? I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it changes absolutely nothing to the game, because at this current moment in time, the main problem with offsides at this moment in time for me is the amount of time it takes to determine whether it's offside or not. Now, they are looking into fixing this by using the semi-automated or automated or whatever they want to call it that they use, that you'll see in the Champions League, and they use it in Europe, where they're not drawing lines. The technology that they have gives you a bit like a bird's eye view, a bit like tennis, whatever they want to call it, Hawkeye, whatever it is. And on that frame where they're looking at, they can put that line down, that shield that kind of comes across, and it'll tell you whether any part of that person is in front of the defender. At this moment in time, if they keep drawing lines, all this does is change the argument from he's got a toe over to he's got a toe behind or a heel behind. It doesn't actually change anything. What they need to do, in my opinion, is the lines for me have got to go as soon as I can, because the amount of time it takes for them to come to a decision. And look, I'm not saying that these systems are wrong, but sometimes I look at them and the lines don't even look straight. And I've had a lot of people say that to me. So I think the automated system needs to come in where we get a decision really quick, so the fans are not kept waiting, and it doesn't suck that emotion out of the game, because football's a stressful game apart from when you score a goal. Every other part of football is stressful, and it's the release that you get from scoring goals which makes us hooked. Now, for me, bring the system in where we have this automated system like they do in the Champions League. And what I would say is take away that it has to be a body part that can legally touch the ball. So at this moment, they'll go from, up here on the arm, under the shoulder, or whatever it may be. I think that's something that's still not quite 100% clear. Or bottom of your shirt sleeve. I mean, how can they, on these pixels, tiny small, say where it actually is? So for me, to make it a lot clearer, don't do whatever part is past the last defender that legally can touch a ball. Do any part of a person. If that's your hand, it's your finger, it's your foot, it's your head, it's your shoulder, whatever it is that is past that person, call it offside. There's no black and white. It's clear as day. You're not measuring armpits and, cock hair and whatever else to see what's in front. It makes it clear. It makes it easier, stops this confusion, and hopefully speeds up the outcome. And then somehow there has to be a system. Look, at home, we get the answers quicker than the person that's watching it at the game. But you don't want the person that's watching it at the game to get disenfranchised, because if they do, and numbers start falling at grounds, the atmosphere, the magic that we go to football grounds for dies. So whereas in rugby, when they have a big screen and they put up, it's a try, it's a not a try, they should have it doesn't have to be a TV screen. It can be a massive plaque with two lights on, one green, one red. And when that goal goes in, rather than waiting to send the pictures up like we'll see at home, flash it as soon as you know. Green, goal, red, it's offside, or offside, onside, whatever you want to put, something quicker. Because, like I said, what you celebrate in football, we all appreciate great saves, right? But your arse is nipping before that great save goes in. You're not enjoying it. You're not enjoying it. He's had to make a worldly save. You go, and then you go, oh, get in, what a save. Same with defending. We love it, love to see it, passing, all that. The big rush, the reason why football hooks you in is that ball hitting back at net. It doesn't matter if it's a worldie or it's a tap-in. It's the rush of that ball, that relief of that ball hitting back at net. And the offside law, the offside rules, the VAR part of it, for me, takes all that away. And I think when obviously, I'm a big Liverpool supporter. When Liverpool score, I used to go mad, mental, running all out, banging walls, jumping on floor, all kinds of mad stuff. I don't do that anymore, because half the time I'm not sure whether it's going to be a goal or not. And so I've lost something. So when I come back to, and I've said this to a lot of people, since doing grassroots and running a grassroots football club and coaching them, goals mean more now to me at grassroots level when my boys score, to some extent, than what Liverpool do, because I know that I can look down that line and see whether there's a flag up or not straight away to know whether I can celebrate that goal. And it takes nothing away. And I think that VAR is here to stay, but in its current format, it's killing the game. And this coming in, I just think it's a joke. I just think it's an absolute joke. And I think Arsene Wenger should fuck off and retire, to be honest. And I can believe that out if you want.
I'm more worried about how grassroots referees sell this, because that's what they do. They'd be thinking that, oh, look at that, he's well off. And I just think, honestly, I get to a point where, and you can come in here, Wayne, as well, because you're at the cold face, looking at it all, dealing with it, is that I honestly don't know how we're going to solve this problem of offside. I just think, like we just said, it's like having fish and chips rather than chip and fish. Because they just changed the different. It's going to be the exact same thing. Look, his toe is just on. It's just the exact same argument framed a different way.
Well, so look, he's dangling a heel. His ponytails were just a bit further back. It's just shit.
I can't get it. And then what happened was something happened early on. Something happened early on where they haven't thought about it. and they'll change it again. They'll amend it. Oh, we never thought about that. Or he's got long studs, and I just think I don't know. I just think it's absolute nonsense. But on the Twitter account, it's just dead funny that everyone takes it so serious. Just having a laugh. It's taking a mick out of the fact that the Lord is so nonsense.
Yeah,
I've asked a nonsense question, but they're all biting.
Yeah, but I get you. But look at me. Look how irate it's got me. I'm not on Twitter. I'm just talking about it. So that question that you put out there on Twitter will be posing all these kind of questions that people are getting mad about. There are people sat there now in a pub somewhere moaning about this. And I've read some reports today saying it's mixed. When these balanced accounts go out and they say, they'll give you 3 quotes from Johnny, 3 quotes from David, or whatever. And one will be for, one will be against. They'll never give you the true kind of balance of it or how it is actually looking. Like your account is doing, 82 to 18%. Nobody wants this. No. And I can't believe that it's come from a footballing man. I honestly, what he did with Arsenal Football Club, I didn't support Arsenal, but I used to love to watch him. Or is Arsenal when they were at the Pont, when they had the Henrys and the Vieiras and the Pires, with the Bergkamps. And the football that they played were absolutely outstanding. He's a football man. This has come from him. But this comes back to how old? This maybe sounds bad. I don't know, but how old is he? Why is he making decisions? Why is it just him? I just don't get it. And I just think it's another rubbish change. I think when rule changes are done, I think majority of the time, I think that a lot of them work. Like the back pass rule, brilliant. The 6-second rule with keepers, even though for whatever reason they've stopped enforcing it now, thought that was really good. Being a Liverpool fan, that's one thing that frustrates me because Liverpool generally don't waste time. Teams that come up against us do. That stopped. I don't know why. I thought that was brilliant. But this one, it's like exactly what you say. It's like, do you want fish and chips or chips and fish? It's mental. I can't believe that it's even being considered. But I'm so thankful that we're not piloting it in this country. I'm
imagine this then, right? So grassroots ref, you're running a game. You've got no lino. We all have them games, right? There's no one running the line for you. This change could make a much clearer view of offside for a ref. So on the grassroots point, if I'm seeing this person's definitely forward offside all the body, it's easier for me to call it if I've got no linesman.
You mean as it stands now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
you mean without the change?
No, right. So at the minute, the change is, so as it stands at the moment, sorry, yes. It's any part of you offside is offside, right? The change is now, you've got to, there's more of you got to be onside than offside for it to be onside. Yeah?
You've absolutely lost me here. Are you saying it's easier now? Or
the change will make it easier.
No, it won't.
So I think it will.
No, it won't. It won't, mate. It won't make a blind bit of difference. It won't.
You just think it's 6 at one, half a dozen at other?
Well, yeah, because if you haven't got a lino, right, and you can see if somebody's clearly offside, you really can. Not all the time, you can. Especially if you're refereeing a full 11 side pitch, you can't. But if it's tight, it's tight. It doesn't matter whether it's this side of arse cheeks or that side of arse cheeks. It's tight. So I don't think it helps anybody out. I think it makes it difficult. I think it makes it, well, if anything, I think it possibly makes it more difficult.
Listen. What happens now is it looks onside, doesn't it? It looks offside rather than looking onside.
Yeah.
Because when everyone is, most of your body is ahead of the game, and they're still going to call it on because of his toe, that's a different beast than just your toe being off. I think what I'm not sure people have thought about is, imagine the difference for linos at that level.
Oh,
they're getting told to keep the flag down unless it's obvious. Now this is going to look more offside than not offside, isn't it? Because they're going by all of his body but the toe. But previously, it's just his toe. And I think, do you know what I mean? Do you know? And I'm wondering now, they're going to look offside but still keep the flag down. Whereas
it's
now,
such a mixed bag,
keep the flag down because They look like they're offside.
Listen, Martin, you've done proper linoing. Me and Wayne pretend to do it on a Sunday morning. What, as you trained a lino, if you think about, I mean, you look at the top linos, and what really amazed me when they brought VAR in, and they told you statistically how many mistakes they made, and it was like, what were it, about 2%? It was stupid, ridiculously low. These are super highly trained athletes that are running up and down, watching everything that goes off, but most importantly, the line. They get so many right. They get way more right than they get wrong. And I imagine a lot of the training goes into keeping an eye and an ear on that ball being hit and trying to get a line of sight of where that player is. It's totally different. It
know what it's like?
It feels totally different.
It is. It's a different skill set. And there's things like where the different levels and nuances of it is they always want you to be facing the field of play, square on, not side on. And you'll see a lot of referees, they're sort of crabbing, they look a bit dodgy because they're crabbing because they want to keep both eyes, on the field of play. Whereas if you're running down the sideline and you've got your head turned a bit, it's a bit of a difficult. But of course, you can only go so fast. Crabbing, you see how fast some of these people are. You've got to try and keep up with it. And from personal experience, remember Robert Earnshaw, one of the fastest lads I ever could. I think within a month I had Robert Earnshaw. I have to keep an eye on him as a lino. And within a month, I had Walcott when he was at Southampton.
Good luck with that.
And what these do, and then you go back to when they reference stuff like with these clever players, and this is the difference why you get up to world level, elite level, European level, international level of match visuals, that these people are going offside. They go offside, and then they time the run just as he kicks it, they're onside. So you've got this sort of mental adaptation where you're thinking, right, he's offside, but he's not offside, he's not offside, he's not offside. And you talk to yourself, people talk to yourself, right, he's on. And you have this sort of like, it's a bit like, when you look at someone, you think, something not right there. Or he looks a bit dodgy, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Offside's a bit like that. There's a feeling to it. And that comes with experience. And you have this sort of peripheral vision of it all, where you're not quite looking at anything, but you're looking at everything. Do you know what I mean? And you can't go by noise because noise takes time to travel and all that. It's an unbelievable, undervalued skill set of a lino. I know we all say assistant referees, the linos. And I found it really difficult. My first ever game at Football League level was Exeter against Hull City. And Hull City was managed by Jan Moby. And Jan Moby's always been a massive like hero of mine. And so I was all excited, but I've got all this thing of like, not only am I having my first ever Football League game, and I've got my mates, one of my boss then, he's died now, bless him, because he let me off work a lot. I said, look, my first game at that level, I'm going to take you and your missus as my guest, which is it. And so I got all this going on in my head of being Jan Moby. I've got me bosses there. And funny enough, on the other line was Keith Stroud. And at the time, Keith Stroud was like an ex-Premier League referee, now does Championship, come down. But within weeks of him being on that game with me, he got promoted to the Premier League. They had I think someone got injured in the Premier League. It might even be Wendy Toms, actually. And he got promoted. So I'm at my first ever game. I've got Jan Moby hero. I've got one of the best linos at the time in the business on the other line with me. And the referee was a fella called, I forget his first name, Tomo Tomlinson. And he was a massive piss taker. It's probably why the PGMOL put me on it, just to chill. So when as he takes his clothes off, we're getting ready for the game to get warming up. He's got these leopard skin, like, underpants on. And he's going, all right. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's going on here? And I'm not saying trying to be serious because, you're all keen and you're all up for it. And then he goes, oh yeah, well, did you not get the message? We all wear like leopard skin. Have you got any leopard skin? No. I've just got my ordinary, like, I used to wear a jockstrap. Oh God, you're going to this. If the assessor asks you about what you're wearing underneath, don't tell him that you've got a jockstrap on. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then when we get to the centre circle, we've done all our warm-ups at the centre circle. And you got to go and check the nets. And again, you wouldn't notice. And this is all just to describe the nuances of being on the line. You go and check the nets, and you go bang, and you go, and you sprint as fast as you can to the nets, and you check the nets. But you're looking at each other. Each liner was looking at each other. and you check the nets, and there's even a certain way to check the nets. Don't go in front of the goal, go behind the goal, because if you go in front of the goal, some knobhead's going to kick a ball at you. The states where you got a ball in the back of your head, and then he starts laughing at you. Go behind the net, you do it a certain way, and then you got to think at certain grounds. If I go behind the net, I'm going to be too close to the fans. They could grab you, so you then go in front of it and say to the players, stop shooting the ball, and then you run back as fast as you can. So I before we did all that, this is my very first game. He says to me, look, the scouts, you do realise you've got to run as fast as you can to check the nets. And there's Keith Stroud there to me. I said, yeah. He goes, make sure you beat Stroud here after 3, go. And I go, 1, 2, 3, nice sprint. Right as fast as I can. Get to the goal, turn around, and they're still on the centre circle laughing at me. Just made me look at twat. And the whole point of it was, I found out later on, was to take that pressure off me. They'd all wanted to, they knew I'd be dead nervous. They knew I'd be up for it. And he come, I said, look, nothing's going to go wrong today. And the biggest advice he gave me, which I still coach people who are on the line today, let the decision come to you. Don't go looking for your first decision.
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality goes to the whole career of a ref and a lino. Just let it come to you. And they always say you got more time than you think. So going back to the original question of what it's like, it's an art form. You do sort of, and then the longer you go, I remember thinking after about 10, 12 games in the Football League, thinking, this is all right, this. I'm not thinking about, look at the crowds, look at the pitch. Oh, it's floodlights, look at the evening. You're made up because it's an evening game, because evening games under lights. It's just a magnificent experience at any grounds, I think. So, and then you start thinking this is easy, and then you can lose your concentration because you start thinking it's easy. Do you see what I mean? And then you start thinking, no, keep concentrating.
You mean you were watching games rather than linoing them?
Yeah, and you can be guilty of that, and you get all kinds of tips where you say, try and concentrate, maybe count the passes of the team, how many passes they just keep something. Some lads even had the elastic bands where they used to flick it, and it used to snap his like wrist. All these little things go on in it, because I don't know any match official, I don't know anybody in any game of life that wants to make a mistake, that wants to get something wrong, particularly with all those people shouting at you, even if it is St. James's Park in Exeter or St. James's Park in Newcastle. And I think those when people start talking about what goes into it, just being a lino, people realise that,
there's more to it.
And they're getting that level of accuracy, which they are. Trust me, they are. You realise how good, even now, particularly now, how good our top flight match officials are.
Yeah, well, do you know what I think? They've already taken the name from them. They're not called linesmen anymore. They're called
assistant referees.
Assistant referees. I
not
think
a referee's assistant.
You're a referee assistant.
Yeah.
I think they won't make offside calls eventually. I think it'll be automated. I think the game will be allowed to run until whatever, and they'll make a decision electronically, digitally, whatever, by a computer. I think they'll be. I still think they'll be there, but I think they'll be there to assist in decisions and watch for fouls close, help the referee out. But I think the offside call eventually will be taken off of them. I think that's what I think.
I'll go further than that. I reckon there will be a day when we don't have linos.
At all, even just to be there to assist.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you end up doing something stupid like having 2 referees instead. I remember there was an experiment done about having 2 referees, because in the 6-a-side game internationally, there's a 6-a-side World Cup and all that. I think we talked about it earlier. This one of these other roles I'm doing with GB mini football is that they've got Champions Leagues, they've got Euros, they've got World Cups for 6-a-side, and we have 2 referees, one each side of the pitch. All right, it's only 6-a-side, so you're really on top of things. But even in that area, you do get this ambiguity where there's someone in the middle of the pitch makes an offence who blows for it. So you have like one senior referee, one junior referee on it. Now, that works a treat in 6-a-side. And they run the full length of the pitch, so you don't stop at the halfway line like linos do. So I think there's a development some way where I reckon that'll happen. But there has been tests in the past where it hasn't worked, because one decision might be closer to one referee, but just because it's close to you, look what happens with the Salah incident, the Man City game, when Jurgen lost his plot over that foul that they sort of pulled Salah to the ground. Sometimes, and spectators don't buy this, but it's true, it's harder when stuff is near you than it is further away. And if you ask any lino or any having a decision on the far side of the field to play, right over the is probably far easier than having this one right under your nose when you're running and stuff like that. And the only hard thing about having a decision when it's right over the far side is if the lad who's playing them on is near you. That's probably the worst combination for a lino to have. So again, it's interesting that we're talking about that side of football lino as well, because we talked about all the nonsense that's going on with offside. But it's an unbelievable skill to be. Everyone knows what offside is. Everyone knows what a bleeding throw-in is. Everyone knows how to flag them. Far, near, middle. Throwing corner.
I don't know if everybody does know how to flag them. I've seen some horrendous flagging on a Sunday morning. Let me tell you, the ones where they just go and flick it over there, and I'm like, no. Like they get nervous about throwing a flag. So I think flagging.
I'll never forget. I was assistant reffing at the Donny Bells, and the main ref there, a brilliant guy. He'd been top flight for a little bit, obviously come back down, getting old and fat like me. But he came to me and he said, you've not been doing this long, so what I want is a slow flag and a good decision rather than a fast flag and a poor one. And he says, and what I'll do is, he says, at times, if I think it's gone one way, from my opinion, I'll stand and look at you and I'll put my hand this way or I'll put my hand that way. And if you agree, you do the same. If you disagree, do what you think and I'll go with you. But, let's work together. And it was that bit of experience from a guy that knew what he was doing to me on the side. It helped massively. And at the end of that day, I ran 3 games for him that day. And at the end of it, he said, anyone would think you'd been doing this for years. And that was brilliant.
Well, they do that. You get led in. But what happens is, as you go higher up the ladder, the two switched on and there's cameras there. If you look at like semi-pro level, below like, say, National League and down, National League South or North, a lot of referees will just put a finger across the chest, either way to say there, but you've got to be looking at you. And the referee would have a pre-match brief. I don't know if you know this happens, but they'll all have a pre-match brief, the 4 of them at top flight level, and as it comes down 3, they talk, and the referee will say, I want this, I want that. Some referees actually stand on the pitch and say, if it's past this far in field, which normally we would say, not all referees, this is only what I used to coach. If you imagine the edge of the 18-yard box being one line right across the whole length of the pitch, when you're on the other side of that, inside that, towards the centre circle, the fouls are mine, they're not the linos.
Ah.
So you would have these sort of nuances again, using that word a lot for some bleeding reason. These little things that refs get told, and then they go through the penalty. But believe it or not, most referees will have a pre-match brief. 99% or 100 referees when you see him at 3, and he'll go, what you do on goal kicks, what you do on corners, what you do kicks on the edge of the box. Remember, there was a state where the goalkeeper's on the edge of the box and he's releasing the ball out of his hands when he's kicking it inside or outside the box. You very rarely see that getting pulled now, because if a defence goes really high up the pitch, you've got a hell of a lot of work to do. Then what becomes your priority? The offside on the ball coming back, or the goalkeeper out of his hands. But now everyone plays from the back, so that's gone.
Yeah.
That's almost gone, isn't it?
Can I just say to you, Wayne, as well? Do not trust linos on a Sunday morning.
No, I don't.
You keep making them decisions for yourself, mate. All right?
I do. I know anybody can trust me as a lino.
Well, I'm not even sure about that. You've had some dodges.
That last game that I turned up, right, I came to watch a game that Wayne were reffing the other week, and just to watch. And I seen this guy on side holding this flag, and I'm thinking, fuck me, you're not going to be his liner, are you? And I walked up to Wayne and I went, do you want me to run that line? The look of relief on his face.
I can't remember that team's name, but if I did, I would name and shame him, because he were another absolute prick of a manager. Winning 1-0, never heard a murmur out of him. 1-0, never heard a murmur out of him. As soon as I went 2-1 down, 3-1 down, it was all my fault. Getting abused, shouted at, moaned, just constantly for the last 20 minutes of the game. Honestly, I nearly went up to it at one point and said, if you're going to carry on, then you can do one, or I'll call it game. Honestly, it was a friendly. It was just like, and I wouldn't mind if I'm If I'm totally biased, huh?
Edenthorpe.
Edenthorpe, yeah, Edenthorpe in Doncaster.
You're naming teams. You're naming them.
Well, yeah, whatever. Under 11s, you were a tit. No two ways about it. You know, I tell him to his face, I'm not bothered. It was you go on there. If I'd have been a brand new ref, if I'd have been a brand new ref, and he'd have been my first gig, I wouldn't have gone back.
Did he have a blue square coat on like these people do? They get like a blue square National League coat and wear it like on under 11 to say, "Ooh, look at me! I used to be a coach at that level." You know what?
The worst thing as well, he wouldn't even shake my hand at the end in a friendly.
That's the one where I had to go over to sideline at half time and explain why that goal wasn't offside. These kids were all screaming offside, offside. There was a player in an offside position. Okay. However,
wasn't interfering.
Player with the ball took a shot on goal and scored. So player in offside position was neither interfering, he'd gained no advantage. There was just nothing. He wasn't technically offside. And I had to go over and tell these kids, and they're like, ref don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, look, let's wrap up the offside thing. Let's can we check on the boat, Martin, and we'll check it when we finish.
There we are.
Thank you. This is like the reason I wanted you to go and do that is because a bloke called Chris Dunn 24 seconds ago has got what nonsense. Right, and I've obviously retweeted with a thumb because that's what I'm doing myself. I'm saying, but all the nonsense on there, and none of them seem to have clocked exactly what I've done. The actual tweet says, "But all the nonsense around offside, do you think football would be better without offside?" Which is obviously a load of nonsense. But people just think I'm serious. You know what I mean? And he's actually done. It's the tweet of the week. What nonsense! Like, I know. That's why I've tweeted to you. It's like,
so what's what are we standing at a minute? What's the percentages?
Let me go back to it, mate. Let's go back to it. He's making me laugh. We've had nearly 600 votes. It's back to 82%, 18%.
Really? What exactly they say? Are you reading this right?
82% of people reckon football wouldn't be better without onside. That's good, yeah. And 18% reckon it would be better without it.
I voted.
Wow.
I voted.
Yeah, I voted earlier on as well, yeah.
Right. So,
there you go. Nonsense.
Let's wrap this one up and let's move on. So, for me, Arsene Wenger should retire in the French Riviera or wherever he wants to be and leave football to, well, whoever else, anybody really. Stevie Wonder would give a better opinion of offsides and what he's come out with. But anyway, Martin, yes or no for the new proposed offside changes?
No. What a load of nonsense.
Wade?
Don't care. I'll do it, whatever.
You can't see. You cannot be offensive on this show. You can't. You've got to get a decision. Come on.
I'll just follow rules. Give it rules. I'll follow them.
What?
No. Against the pod rules. No fence sitters.
It's a no.
Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it's fixable, fix it.
Then.
Well, what they're doing at the minute is they're just faffing around with something that can't be fixed.
Well, it can. I told you now. That's how you fix it. Anyway, let's move this one on. Let's do a quick recap. On obviously the pod. For those of you that are just listening for the first time, thank you. For those that stuck with us, thank you even more. Apple Podcast is now available. We're available on every other service you can. YouTube's absolutely flying. Can't believe how many people want to look at our ugly heads every week, but you do. So I'm really grateful for that. And thank you. Let's have a little recap on your favourite moments. Stuff that was said, stuff that blew you away. We'll start with
the first one, right?
Just something from both of you. Let's get through nice and quick. Something from both of you. What stood out about the first interview with Andy Ambler? We'll start with you, Mr. Baker.
Oh, I mean, he was fantastic. I liked his honesty, how open he was, his whole poise. It was actually quite a thrilling interview, that one, for me. I really enjoyed that one.
Mr. Cassidy?
I'm with you on that. I liked his as honestly, but I told you beforehand, didn't I, that our daddy's been really straightforward, and for a long time with me, another the way I measure people, could have a pint with him. We could all have a pint with him, couldn't he? Good lads, isn't he? And I think when you got someone in that position, and even Jim White said it about him as well, didn't he? Straight talk.
Yeah. Still likes a beer.
Likes a beer, which is fine by me. And I think I just think that the highlight was the fact of how honest he was right through, and he just come across as a genuine lad. And the feedback I've had from people is that he really enjoys it, and you know, he thinks it went well. So I agree with that with him. It was top draw.
Yeah, I do. I think I can only echo really what you said. His openness, his honesty, is telling us stuff that nobody else knew. What really blew me away. You know about the changes that might be coming in and what they might be trialing at the Women's World Cup and stuff like that. I thought it were absolutely fantastic. I thought it were a brilliant guest. And a really, really, really big guest to have on to start with. And yeah, it was just good. It was good to chat to him before we came on air as well. I remember that being really warm and just didn't duck anything, didn't dodge anything,
No,
just gave his answer.
And if you haven't listened to it, can you listen to us out there? If you haven't, sorry,
Yeah.
you keep dropping out. Wayne, sorry, mate. If you haven't listened to the Andy Ambler podcast, which is episode 3, I believe, go and have a listen to it. It's one of the highest people in the FA, ex-chairman of Millwall Football Club. Go and have a listen to, and you'll see the culture change in the FA in regards to how they're addressing stuff.
His passion behind it was amazing.
It's good.
Right. So we all agree. Good guess.
Yep.
Second, this is go on, keep forgetting his name.
Jeff Winter.
Jeff Winter.
Right. So for YouTube purposes, here's my opinion of the Jeff Winter interview.
Oh, we're not watching on YouTube. Wayne just ducked his head out of the with his forehead. It was funny.
I can't believe you picked up on that.
It was a bit like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that was the second guest that we'd done, and I didn't feel comfortable telling him to move his camera or to shut up.
Say up.
And he's done that. He probably treats us down and beats us up.
He was a phenomenal guest for me.
He was one.
He was just a laugh. He was a laugh a minute. And I loved it how he kind of blamed us for missing his tea. Yeah, it was him that. He was talking.
And if you remember, I was texting you saying, "We can't get away with him." This is great. But I really thought would have been a new podcast and him being a bit of a diamond. I was thinking he might be, some of the one thing we have of all the guests, and I know, me and Wayne, we and Waz are like chat a lot, and the other Wayne's a bit more considered and professional. But like, we haven't struggled with these people. There's been no mad silences, has there, with any of these?
No. Do you know? Honestly, I could have chatted to him for hours. I really could have. Switched off the stop recording and just gone on and a lot of them, for me, obviously being a massive football nut, I've seen them on TV for years, or I've listened to them on radio, and having him come on there, and you think about how this is the best way I can describe it in terms of the status of these guys. I've had the privilege of going to an FA Cup final to watch Liverpool. It was absolutely an incredible, amazing event for me, and experience and everything was just unreal. Imagine reffing it. Imagine being stood in the middle of the pitch. This is what this guy did. Yeah. So when he comes on and he's as down to earth as what me and you are, great northern bloke, and his stories and how open he were and how much he wanted to chat to us. And bearing in mind, we're doing this for the love of what we do. We're doing this to give refs a voice, to kind of show a different side to refereeing. We're not getting paid for it. We can't offer money to guests. So when they come on and do that, it never and funny. I mean, what were we on for? An hour and a half? He just never stopped, did it? It was just incredible. So, yeah, anyway, your thoughts on Jeff? I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I was the same. I was like, well, like I said, I was a bit, like I said in the actual pod, he's always been a bit of a barometer for a good ref for me. Like I said in my appraisals with the FA, with my job, I used to say he's a bit more like David Ellery but he needs to be a bit more like Jeff Winter. And then we had some referees that were too Jeff Winter and needed a little bit more like David Ellery. I always had these barometers, but I would always pick. I'd rather have someone, like I said, with him. Phil Dowd was another one. Bit of an attitude, like we said with Mike Dean, a good way about them that you think, yeah, that he's a football man. He's a football man, definitely. So yeah, so I've got a lot, and I just like the way he was into the pod, wasn't he? He was definitely into it.
Yeah, he enjoyed himself, didn't he?
And do you know what? He's retweeted his loads.
He has, in fairness, yeah, he has.
Followed us, and so Jeff, if you're listening, mate, massive thank you. But Mr. Maker, you want to add on Jeff?
No. I mean, I did my bit. He was absolutely phenomenal. It's great. It's absolutely great to get an ex-Prem ref on this cast, and to get some of his sides of things and his opinions and the like. It was a real honour for me. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
And we've got another one coming on, which we'll announce on a trailer when he does come on.
Yeah, save it. Yeah. Next one, Sam Wallace. Peter Walton. Peter Walton came on. It was Sam, but we released it differently because of the Champions League final.
That's right. Yeah, because of the final.
To make it relevant. So, as we recorded him, it was Sam Wallace, who for me is I've just watched that new Peter Crouch documentary. It's absolutely fantastic. I love Peter Crouch, and just showing behind the scenes with him is just everything that you'd imagine him to be. And I just thought it was amazing. But he was, Sam Wallace was on there talking about Peter Crouch, and it were a different angle for us. It were a journalistic angle, newspaper writer, and I thought he had some really good stuff to say. I loved his stories about Maradona at the end. I loved learning about what he told us. I didn't know some of the stuff he told us about Maradona, and I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. But again, another top guest for me. So you guys' thoughts? Wayne, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I thought, Joe, it's a really odd thing to say, but it was really polite. Which, it was quite guarded, journalistic. We didn't want to give an opinion in case it upset somebody that had a different opinion. But his viewpoints, his opinions, especially supporter refs, I think it was admirable. I really like the guy. Never really met him before. Don't know much about him. Not like you, mate. You used to watch him on TV or whatever, listen to him on the radio. He's new to me, and really, really like the guy. Very, very, head screwed on.
Loads of feedback on him, again, like all of them. But with him, it was how considered and he is, and he's very articulate.
Yeah.
But not like pompous. And I know he's a real principled man and a family man, and he was like, no, another one we fed back. So and the importance of it. So I'm glad we're doing a bit of a recap here. Is the power of having people in the media on our side. That's the story. And of course with Jim White as well, another one. Having the bases covered is that when you want to bring around positive change, if you haven't got these platforms and these people behind you to do retweets, to do interviews with you, to get you on the shows, to get you to do exclusives in their papers, nothing's going to change. So it is crucial, and it can be a double-edged sword, like they say about working in the media. But that's what you just got to do. You're going to get a bit of stick for maybe putting wrong questions up or wrong tweets or stuff. But fundamentally, you can't get anywhere to make positive change without people like Sam Wallace and Jim White behind you.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, guess. And I think, I'm not sure this next one was my favourite. I absolutely loved Peter Walton. I thought he was
a brilliant interview.
I just thought it was amazing to say that he agreed to speak to us the day before the Champions League final, the day before he was going to be covering the biggest event in European football, possibly in world football. And he came on, and he overran his time because I think he was enjoying it. The stories, the banter, the story about not giving Luis Suarez any free kicks. I thought was I thought were unbelievable. You know, and you know the other stories that he told us about when we asked him about who was the greatest players that he's seen live, and you know the one about Ronaldo that he was so in awe of that he just skipped past him and a load of players and banged it in the net that he forgot to even blow his whistle for a goal. And then he talked about Steven Gerrard being like the Roy of the Rovers and just somebody, you know, unbelievable at everything. But a laugh at the same time, you know, it was just a laugh, wasn't it? Just, you know, gave us real good humour for me. I thought it was brilliant. Mike, what do you think?
Smooth, known him for a long time. As you said in the pod, used to work him at Wembley. He's always give back. There's a lot of refs in our game that give back. That'll be able to top and give back. And he's another one that, you know, he was lucky enough to get the MLS job, which obviously, you know, he could have stayed out there a lot longer than he did. Major changes out there. He's brought in, like, where we touched on about the Pro, which is the professional referee organization. It's called Pro over in America, which is like the PGMOL over there. Or his idea, he created it, he did all that. Very, very well respected man.
Fact paper said, didn't he?
Hey?
Didn't he say on a fact paper? Didn't he say he wrote it on a back of a fact paper way over to America?
Yeah, the bloke said, you know, whoever it was he talked to him, the board or the Pro or whatever, said, well, we need you to do a structure. What does it look like? And in fairness, you know, other people are trying to do it. I just trying to do it in America and having that success that they've had. You know, you're fighting against American football, baseball, and basketball, and look where he's got that. He's a very underrated man. He is, and he's a top bloke to boot. And again, another one from who we've worked together and helped with that. You know, I'm happy to be able to call on him and then step up and help. So I think it's just a top lad, just another top lad.
Yeah, Mr. Baker.
I think for me, you know, number one is American Story. You know, it's quite inspiring, really, when you know they've got their own world sports, and suddenly he's helped bring a proper sport to the country.
Oh, do you know, before you said that, I was just going to pull you up about their world sports then, but you're correct. I get why you did.
World sports. Yeah. But then, you know, you're speaking to these people that are of high standing, and they're just one of us. You know, they're just one of us, and you get that opinion as well that he really, really gives a shit, and it's inspiring. It's great. For me, you know, I'm quite starstruck for the majority of the people that come on here, but he was something else. I really enjoyed talking to him. You know, his story, the way that he came across, his banter as well. What a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The world champions of America. That's what I want to say.
That's it. Yeah.
The World Series.
And I do love some American sports, but they need to wake up. They don't think anything exists past Florida. Anyway, we won't go down that route tonight. Final one for me. I've been pretty blown away by all of them, but the final one so far, Jim White, I've got to be honest, a bit of a dream come true for me. That I used to watch him on Sky Sports News when I was a sad young man, and I used to watch football, play football, everything was football 24/7 basically. Transfer deadline day were an annual event or a biannual event, you know, when they used to start doing it in January and stuff. And he were a massive part of it. He were a huge part of it, you know, with his yellow tie, enormous. And then I've always listened to TalkSport. I've listened to it for years. When he took over the breakfast show or the mid-morning show, I was shocked. And then he got Gordon and the show, I listen to it every day, more or less. And we'd got him on after I'd been listening to him that morning as well. And I've got to be honest, I was a little bit like a fanboy, wasn't I? Really that day, I was, maybe not go as far as arse licking, but it were an absolute honour for me to speak to him. And again, the last we had with him even before we went on air, were just unbelievable. And what really stuck with me, what he said, which I thought were absolutely unreal. And you know that he's telling the truth based on what I've heard him do online, based on what you told me about him, Martin, in terms of how he supported you, is that he feels a responsibility on that really, really popular and powerful radio show to hold people to account. And I've heard him do it. I've heard him do it time and again. And he believes in it, and he believes that he has to do it to get answers for people. And I love that about what he said. And being on here and kind of looking him in the eye as much as you can do through, you know, the video service that we use, you could tell it was genuine. And I thought, wow. It kind of like, it made me feel a little bit. I know, Wayne, whether you'll be able to chip in on this in a minute. Setting up your own football club like I've done, and wanting to make a difference, and actually making a difference, and seeing it through with your remit of what you've got as a chairman. And I try to do that every year or every month, every week, every day. Yeah, more or less when the season's going off, and making a difference to people's lives. But he's doing it on a much bigger scale than me, and he's taking on big boys. I'm dealing with people that are local. I just thought it was amazing. I just thought it was an amazing interview. There were loads of laughs in it as well, and he gave us loads of time. And I think, to be honest, if we'd have carried him on talking for 2 hours, I think he'd have stayed. And that's the gift to people, is that they're giving the time for nothing, and they're not trying to rush off, and they get involved, and they give us everything that they've got. And for me, it was just unreal, that interview. Really, really blew me away.
Yeah.
So, Martin, you?
I never felt that. I never felt any of our guests wanted to get away. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I never felt any of them wanted to do that. They're either really good actors or they just liked having our chats. And I just think that's when, again, I'm glad I'm doing a recap, because if people are picking this up late now thinking, what did so go back and listen to the pods, and you'll see some of these people that are there. And I think with us just all being ordinary people, just getting on with the game and doing it, and then bringing these things in all because of our passion to want to give back ourselves. I think it's great, and as it will grow, and we'll do more pieces, and we'll have more of a crack. And like you said, we're only 7 episodes in here, and look at the people we're having on.
8.
8. Max has never been my strong point.
Well, if we're struggling to get to 8, we're going to struggle, aren't we, going forward? When we get to episode 30 on, I will just do that bit for you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, for me, brilliant. I mean, that guy is the consummate professional. You know, as far as presenting in radio is concerned, he knew exactly how to be interviewed and how to interview as well. You know, there was no need.
He kind of took over.
Well, he did, but he did it in a brilliant way, in a really professional way. You know, made it feel like it were our show when really it was. But again, his phrase when he said, "We have a duty to support referees," hit home really, really hard. I think, you know, these guys, they'll pick up a story and they're like, this needs dealing with. And again, when he said, you know, we've got FIFA on the phone, we're just doing this interview, can we get your opinion, you know, there and then. You know, one of my favourites, I think. You know, I don't want to be biased at all and, you know, and diss any of the others because they were superb. But I think that one, I don't know, there were just a few notes that it hit with me that I really enjoyed that one loads.
Yeah, great recaps, great guests.
Great hosts.
I think that leads us on. Great host. I think that leads us on into the next bit, which Martin's going to give us a little indication of the next guest, which I believe is coming on next week. Is that right, Martin?
Aye. Well, he's
So
confirmed.
Are we giving a little sneak peek about who this is? Are we surprising him, or do you want to tell us a little bit?
One of the originals, because believe it or not, there is an original group of referees who started the Premier League.
I tell you what, don't tell him. Give him clues.
Let him guess.
Everybody guesses it in the lead up.
All right.
Yeah.
He's Welsh. He until recently was a UEFA assessor, stroke delegate, stroke observer, whatever they even call them. And he was the assessor on the last game at the Vetch at Swansea City's ground when it closed down, and I was 4th man on that game, and he was there. So anyone who follows the Twitter account should know what that is. One of the originals.
So there you go. That will be our next guest, and I want to drop in something now, which I'm absolutely over the moon about, and you guys don't know about this yet, so it's a little bit of a surprise on my behalf to you. Are you ready for it? You're looking a bit nervous there, Martin.
I am. No surprises involve the police with me.
I was going to tell you both, and then I thought, nah, I'll just drop it on a pod. But it's brilliant actually, and I think unless are we missing anything off that we want to talk about today before we maybe wrap up on this?
No.
No, we kind of covered it all so far. We've been asking people who follow us, and our pluggers again, it's at the Ref Pod on everything. So it doesn't matter whether you're YouTubing or Spotify or Apple Music or even searching in Safari or whatever web browser. At the Ref Pod, everything will pop up, even our ugly mugs. And we've been kind of saying to people for a long time, if you don't agree with us, if you do agree with us, if you're a referee and you want to have your say and you want to talk about your experiences, and we're not just here to give A-list people a spot on the pod. We're going to offer this up. We've said, if we're saying stuff you don't agree with us, come on. If you think you're brave enough to do it, you want to have a go at us, or you want to agree with us, or you just want to share your story, your journey even. I love journey. Journey's better. We're all on a journey. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We're all on a journey. And there's a guy that's got in touch with us last week, or it might have been the week before, actually. It's a guy called Scott. I won't give you his surname because he might not want me to tell you the surname, and he might not want everybody chasing him down. But he sent us an email, a message through our Ref Pod, the Facebook Ref Pod. And I'll read it out to you. And I've messaged him back today, and I've said, really happy for you to get involved in it. And he's put this, and he's put, afternoon, gents. I'm currently a level 6 referee, hopefully level 5 this season within the Huntingdonshire County setup. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, and he's kind of a guy that's gone full circle. And he said, when I was 19, I was banned for 5 years for assaulting a referee. So, as you can imagine, when I read that, I'm like, oh, here we go. But it gets better, infinitely better, actually. I have since had kids and coached my boys' team from under 8s to under 16s, while also coaching an additional team from under 7s to under 11s. I decided to take up refereeing when my boys' team folded and wanted to stay in the game. We'll look to have a chat, text, email conversation to discuss my experiences, good and bad, from reffing and what happened when I was 19. And I've said to the guy, I'd love him to come on, actually. I'd love him to come on and share his story on the pod, because I think that if you were to hear a story about somebody assaulting a referee now, I'm quite sure we'd all say to the guy or the woman or whoever it were that they were an absolute massive tit. But I think there's something to be said for making mistakes in life and rectifying them, turning the corner, turning your life around and doing something really positive. And I can only describe people who volunteer in any form of sport or recreational activity or anything, or volunteer help, whatever, volunteering your time to help others, which is what football coaching at grassroots is. Do what he's done. Become a referee. Obviously, he's doing really well. He's going up the levels. And wanting to come on and share his experiences from what he did at 19 to what he's now doing. I think it's a really, really powerful story that should be heard, really. And I think when I was 19, I know I did stuff a lot different to what I do now. I know my outlook on life are a lot different to what it is now, and I don't think a lot of me were the same person as what I am now. So I want to know your thoughts on getting Scott on the pod and chatting about his experiences from assaulting a referee to becoming a referee. And I think it could be a really powerful story, which might help some people out there who maybe struggle with this themselves, or they're quite abusive to referees on a Sunday or a Saturday or whenever it may be. I just think he'd be a really good guest to have on, and our first, if you like, non-celebrity guest. So what do you think? Martin, you're on mute if you're talking. There we go.
I've got Arthur running around with a chicken in its mouth. Arthur's my dog. Squeaking. And I'm not going to lie, I absolutely love my dog. I love my dog.
Do you know what? I was thinking, where's this going? Arthur, with the chicken you have this
Anyway, wow, I think that's brilliant. I'd love that. As ex-offender myself, someone was always in trouble with the police. Someone who turned me life around from being involved with drugs and being everything that could have gone wrong in your life as a teenage dad, and getting married young, and my kids coming from a broken marriage, who all wonderful kids have grown up to be wonderful people. You get no one else stronger than me wanting to talk to people who have made mistakes and turns it around. So I'm really amazed up that you've called us on the up there, because that's what life is about. And you know, where would we be if we don't learn from our mistakes, if we don't develop from our mistakes? Even as a match official, you grow as a match official by making mistakes and learning from them, not doing them again. So I'd probably like to look at going one further and see if we can get the ref who we assaulted on as well.
Well, at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, you Jim White, you Jim White,
Wow.
you look, yeah.
I think it'd be
Wow.
interesting to see. I think find out who it is. I'm sure he'll know. You might have reports and stuff. And let's talk to the referee. And if he doesn't want to come on, let's have him on at different times. But I think the messages we want to do with the ref pod. There's no other podcast out there. People always try to copy what Ref Support do. I was on a previous podcast. It was nothing like this. Very different vibe. These two lads are brilliant. The other two lads who were on it were brilliant for the time. But one of them, Nathan, who I'm still good friends with, he'll come on and tell you that, when you have a pod that hits the right tunes, like we have, people like that would engage, and they're the people we want to engage. They are our audience, and those people bring a positive change. So I'd love to have them on. What do you think, Wayne?
Well, I've got in touch with
Completely
him,
echo that.
and
I mean, sorry, Wayne, but at 19, I were a dickhead. At 49, I'm still a dickhead, but I've got loads more world experience. But I think that's a fantastic story to have on here. That somebody's, what is it? Poacher turned gamekeeper. What an absolutely fantastic. Yeah, get him on, Wayne. Get the guy on.
I don't realised about you. You've got more hair on your face than your head.
It's intentional.
That's brilliant.
Sorry.
What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas?
I'm upside down.
Dandruff and dandruff for Christmas. How can we go from such a serious, lovely subject to taking the piss out of his head?
Yeah, sorry. No, but I have messaged him back.
Oh yeah,
and I have said, yes, I'd like to go one further. If you're willing, I'd like to get you on, because I think I think stories. It doesn't matter who's telling you the stories. I think stories are great, and if you've got a good story and it's something like that, people want to hear it. So, Scott, if you are listening, mate, you say you do listen. I've sent you a message back on Messenger. Get in touch. Let me know when you're free, and we'll make our time available.
100%. Yeah, Scott's story is everything that we're about,
and we'll do a special pod. Exactly. And I want to finish with, and I'm throwing this right out there now. I'm keeping on your toes, but these are the little bits I need to do for you. It gets natural reactions. I want to tell you, I want to do two things real quick before we call it a day today. One, we had our presentation night on Friday just gone, and we do a referee award. It's referee.
Listeners might not know who we are.
My club, Sandalby Junior Football Club. In Doncaster, I run my own club. Wayne's on the committee. We're absolutely pulled out of football on a weekly basis. We're either coaching or what are we doing? Sacking,
coaching, reffing. Committee in everything.
Reffing, everything. The lot. But anyway, yeah, the lot, basically. And we do a Referee of the Year award, and it has been picked by me, to be honest, for the last couple of years, just because I see a little bit, I see everything that goes off, and I know pretty much everything that goes off within my own club. And this, I want to give a mention to her. She might not be listening. She might not. If she is, then fantastic. A young girl called Grace. She's 14.
Another Grace.
Yeah, she's 14. She might be 15 now, I'm not sure. She agreed to do the reffing last summer for us to referee at our club. She stepped up. She really struggled in the first couple of months.
She nearly quit after the first couple of games, didn't she?
She nearly quit, yeah. She's carried on and worked her socks off, and we awarded her our Referee of the Year on Friday. And it wasn't necessarily saying that she was the best referee, but it was awarding her for sticking with it, seeing it through, showing loads of commitment, loads of effort, loads of hard work. And the message that I gave out there, and I want this message to resonate with people that are out there that might think that you might have a kid, you might have a grandkid, you might have a friend, you might have somebody that you'll know somebody that knows somebody that has a child in grassroots football. You might go watch grassroots football. You might have a moan at a referee on a Sunday. This young girl, 14 years old, started reffing for us, and she's been abused several times. One of the times I could affect it because it was from a parent within our club, which, if I'm honest with you, I'd like to have knocked his head clean off. But obviously, I have to be professional about these things. So instead, I spoke to him, and he moaned about Grace, said that she wasn't a very good referee. So I asked him why not. He said because the decision making wasn't great, blah, 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 you know, all the usual shit. So I said to him, okay, I'll pay for your refs course. I'll pay for you to go and do it. You go and do the refs course, I'll pay for it. And on top of that, when you do your games, we'll pay for you to do your games as well. So literally, I'll pay for you, and you'll get a little wage out of it, a little cash in hand every week. Why not? Well, I ain't got time. What's a year on a Sunday? You don't have to, I'm not asking you anything different. Just ref the team that your lad plays for. Well, I want to watch him, but you're not happy about refereeing. And I've got no other referees. There's a shortage of referees. Wouldn't do it. So I said to him, before you have an opinion about a referee, girl, boy, man, woman, whatever, have a think about what goes behind it and how you're affecting them. Because if they go and other referees go and we haven't got any referees, we're going to be able to play football because nobody's going to ref your games. And then where you're going to be. And I said, you know what? That girl, 14-year-old girl, and I said this to him honestly, I said, she's got more balls than you. He said, what do you mean? I said, she's got more balls than you. She's willing to get up as a 14-year-old girl and referee football matches week in, week out, get abused by idiots on sidelines, right? And to be honest with you, mate, she only referees the small age games, so they're not even. I know they're competitive because they're in a league, but they're not really in a league because you can't see the points and the scores and all that. You can't see it. So I said, it don't matter. It's about enjoyment at this age. If they lose, win, what's it matter at this age? I know it does matter, but it doesn't, does it really? And no matter what she does, she's not harming nobody. And anyway, he shut up and he walked away from me. And I've never heard a murmur from him since. So this is from me. It's a massive shout out to Grace and all the other young kids, boys and girls out there that are doing it up and down the country at this moment in time, that are getting abused. And I just want to say a massive thank you and well done. And keep going because you will win one day. The long journey that you'll get will be more fulfilling than them spilling the hate on the sidelines. You'll get far more enjoyment doing what you're doing than what they do by shelling a bit of shit every now and again. You will. You'll have a better journey than they will on the grassroots because you'll be loving what you do for the most part, and they'll still be frustrated, miserable sods. So
that's a great message, Wayne.
Out to Grace and
listen, why don't you ask Grace's parents? Why don't you ask Grace's parents if she can come on a podcast?
She's really
shy. To do that, mate. I'm sure she will. She's really shy, but she's a great girl and she works hard. And, it doesn't matter if she's the best ref in the world. She's doing a job for us so we can play football, and she does it for the kids. She started doing it because we're assisted that are playing a team.
Here's the reason why it might be good to have her on, but talk to her parents and everything else and just check it's okay to have a 14-year-old on a podcast like this, is that there's a girl who's now assistant referee on the WSL called Rhiannon Stevens. Now, Rhiannon Stevens' mother got in touch with ref support through the Twitter account, saying my daughter's been threatened and verbally abused. It carried on after the game at the burger bar and all this sort of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And can you give us some advice? Give us some advice. I was stuck with her, kept in touch with him, kept checking in like I do. And she said, well, he's appealed. They've appealed. He's got to go to a hearing. And I said, well, what's she going to do? She goes, no, it's going to go to the hearing. So she went to the hearing. She said a piece. And these two donuts got done. And I just said, fair play to you, having a goal to go in a room with those men who threatened and verbally abused you and threatened you afterwards and dinner. Then we ends up being, a good relationship with the mother. The mother is now one of our ambassadors because we have ambassadorial roles. So if anyone out there interested in doing an ambassadorial role for us, then please get in touch. Is that she's now a parents and junior leagues advisor. Now, Rhiannon is still in touch. We had, if you remember, the ex-Premier League ref Bobby Madeley was out on the limb.
Yeah.
No one wanted to know him. He'd been binned from the Premier League, went over to Norway. I reached out to him and said, do you want to come and do Six-a-Side World Cup, which is something I work on, which we'll talk about another time. Got him to come to Greece, him and his missus, with us. And we sorted him out and he refereed. He did really well. And then he got back on the Football League and now he's knocking on his door at Premier League. Done a couple of Premier League games last season. Now, we had an evening with Bobby Madeley I organised in the middle of Somerset because there's some clubs I work with closely. And they just said, look, we won't charge you for the room. Let us have the bar. So we got sponsors in. This is something I'd love to do up Donny Way. Try and get a top flight referee over there, but we all pay for it. So the club can make them money out of it. Whoever's got a bar, so they take the bar, we pay them for foods, we put free foods on, come and listen to someone like that. But Bobby Madeley was there. So we asked, she said, well, can I come? With her mum? I said, yeah, we did. So we got her up in front of everyone. I told her story. And we give her an award. I can send you the full stuff. You can put on this if you want. and Love the Whistle t-shirt because I've got this like Love the Whistle program with it, and she stuck around. She's got on with it, and now she works under Bibiana Steinhaus, who's Howard Webb's wife and head of elite football. So, talking to Grace, we've already got a reference of what sticking with it looks like with Rhiannon Stevens.
Bravo.
Yeah, no, that sounds superb, and I will reach out and see if she wants to do it and get her on. That'd be fantastic. And finally, when does your lad Wayne start his refs course?
Starts this Wednesday. Him and
so 2 days.
One of his teammates.
Is he about?
I can shout him if you need me to.
Think he'd come on and tell us how he feels about it. I think that'd be quite good. A young ref, get his opinion.
Give me 30 seconds. You two talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So we've asked Wayne to go and get Max, his lad, starting his very own referee journey on Wednesday. Is that right, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Max, so I can give him a bit of stick if I want. And but what we want to ask you is are you looking forward to it? Are you nervous? And Martin is an ex-pro, and he's also now supporting referees as young as you, mate. So we just want to know how you feel, really. Martin, have you got what you want to ask him?
Yeah, I mean, did you get that haircut for the course?
Pardon?
Did you get your haircut especially for the
course?
course?
Yeah.
That's a cool haircut, that. I love that haircut. Fair play to you, lads. So
you can tell he's a fan of Lego.
Yeah, fair play, lads. Yeah, it looks like Arteta. Listen, one of the things I want to say to you is, first of all, thank you for wanting to do the course. People like you are the future of our game, and if you get looked after and supported properly, and you got a cracking dad, it looks like you have got a great dad, you'll go on. So, what county FA is this with, mate? What's your county FA? Sheffield. Really, really good. They got a good referee branch up there, the Referee Association in Sheffield. Quite a proactive referee association. And when you pass your course and you qualify, you get free membership for a year to Sheffield Referee Association. So that might be a route to look at. Go there and have a look, because they do mentor and they support you. So how are you feeling? Why do you want to take the referees course? Honestly.
Well, I love football. Money as well, yeah. Well, I've loved the game. So obviously, if I ever stop playing the game, I'd still love to be a part of it. So a referee would be like the closest thing to still being a part of the game. So I'd just love to referee and still be a part of the game.
A cracking answer that is. Absolute cracking answer. And you know what it does as well, believe it or not? Where as you climb the ladder and you stick with it, I'm sure you will with your dad's support, is that you become a better footballer. I never played at a brilliant level. I played at an all right level. But when I started refereeing and as I climbed the ladder, then we went back and did like Legends games or whatever games with my mates. They were going, bloody hell, you are half a much better player, because you see the football up close and you see these little tricks, and there is nothing like it, So I'm really pleased that that's your attitude.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Max? Can I ask you? And I think Martin's really picked some good stuff there. Do you have any fears about it?
Well, obviously my height is one of them.
Why your height? Why would you say your height?
Well, the players will be a lot taller than me when I'm reffing. But if I think about it, if I really think about it, I'm like the what do you call it? The boss of the game, kind of. So it won't really bother me, because if someone does make fun of me, I can always just send them off if needs be.
Send them off.
Yeah.
Send them off for goal. You're small. Well, listen, I'm only tiny. I'm only 5'6", and I got to top flight as a lino. I worked at Wembley. So it's about what you sort of show. It's all about your body language. You might not really understand it at your age yet, mate, but your body language, how you blow your whistle. It's a bit like, do you know, if your dad said to you, if you charges your room, and you go, yeah, and he goes up there and he hasn't, and then he comes downstairs and says, will you go and charge your room, please? And you go, oh, yeah, I'll do it in a minute. Then all of a sudden he goes, will you charge your room? and he says it differently. You listen to him. Well, that's what it's like refereeing. If you're sort of like being confident and being authoritarian, like in a nice way, that's a free kick, or don't foul, or be a bit more confident in your voice. Like we just said about your dad making you go upstairs to tidy your bedroom, people will listen to you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Any more fears, Max?
Can
I ask
obviously,
like specific? Are you worried about any abuse from the sidelines?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, obviously. But mainly it's like if a game gets out of control, that's more what I'm like in fear of.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, Martin will probably tell you better than this. That will probably happen at some point, but that doesn't mean that's your fault. Doesn't mean you've lost control of it. How would you? And I'm going to come to Martin for this one because I think you know better than me. You've been doing this a lot longer than me. You do it to a really high level. You support people up and down the country. In those opening months, Martin, while he's getting experience, learning the ropes inside out, what would you say is the best way for him to handle any abuse from either parents or coaches?
I think is you're probably going to get more good things than not good things happen to you, which is why we've always talked about making young referees and old referees who get into the game aware that it might happen. But never, ever, ever blame yourself. Never blame yourself, because people, when the Premier League starts in a couple of weeks, they'll be shouting at world-class international referees. When we have the World Cup in Australia with our Lionesses, those referees are world-class referees. They'll be so never ever take it personal, and just have belief and just ask for help and talk to people like your dad. And also, I'll say this while your dad's listening: go to other people in your dad who you trust, because sometimes you don't want to say go to Waz. You might not want to show to your dad that you might be a bit upset, or you might be a bit scared, or you might be a bit, but you can show that to friends like Wayne and other people. So always talk. Always remember it's never your fault, and always remember there's far more good people in football than bad.
And the journey of a refereeing, and even though it does happen from time to time, we champion it every week on here. It's thoroughly enjoyable. And I know I'm a lot older than you, but sometimes I don't. This is going to sound really stupid. Sometimes I quite enjoy when idiots give me abuse, because I like shooting them down. And I think the more confident that you get and the more you do it, you'll have the confidence to have that control of yourself. So I want to ask you, there's some really good advice from Martin there, and I love that. I love what he said. And there'll be people listening, even adults, that will take that on board. Wow, that's really good advice. Will you come back on? Will you come back on halfway through your course next week if we get a chance? And will you come back on after you're doing your first game, or maybe before you're doing your first game, then after, just to give us a little bit of your journey and tell us how you found it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll come back on. Yeah.
Maybe you can obviously tell me how good it feels when I cross your palm with that money that I'm going to have to pay you.
I'm already confident that you'll do well, mate, because you've just come on a podcast. You don't really know me. Your body language is telling me you're a confident, intelligent lad. And I've got every faith that you'll do well there, mate, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
and I'll second that. He is a confident young man. Is an hard-working young man. He helped me out last year doing summer camps, didn't you, mate? Worked your socks off on me last year. And this year, in order for him, he's just, and I'll give it a praise now, he's just won the most improved player for this season, just gone for his team. Under 14. Were it under 14s this year, Max?
Yeah, under 14s,
and,
yeah.
Do you know, nobody, apart from probably his mum and dad and his sister in the room that night, were more happy and proud of him than me. The reason being is I know Max really well, and he was really frustrated. Last year, season just getting started, frustrated with himself, didn't think he could find the next gear, wanted to learn some more things. So I offered to train him, I offered to take him on, and he come down and he trained with me once a week, took him down and trained with my lads, and taught him different things to what he maybe not heard, or heard it in a different way. And I could see the improvement in him week on week on week. and doing different things, and then seeing him take that onto the pitch on a Sunday and doing these different things, and afterwards I'd say, yeah, that was good. That's what you did, not on that. So for you to come full circle and get that most improved player award, mate, just shows you the effort that you're putting in at 14, 15, when some kids start losing interest. I think you'll fly at refereeing, mate. Once your footballing career stops, if it does stop, who knows where that'll take you? But if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, I think you'll be a really good ref, really good ref.
Fair
So
play.
I can't wait to see you and support you down on the beat, mate. So good luck from me.
Thank you.
You take care. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers, Max.
Right, no worries. Cheers.
Cheers, lads.
Good.
See you later.
Put your ugly dad back on. Ooh, what a way to finish.
Yeah, brilliant. That was really nice, that, guys. Thanks for that.
That's all right. Your missus must be really attractive because he's a good-looking boy and he never got it from you.
Oh, mate, honestly, yeah.
Mate,
He's got a good look.
He is punching, mate. He is punching.
I am punching, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, he's still punching right now, mate. I tell you right now. Jesus Christ. Right, I'm going to cut these idiots off before I have to do any more work.
Brilliant.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember to share it, like it, tell people about it, get in touch. If you've got your own experiences, your own journeys that you want to talk to us about, we are not just here for the celebs. We are here for you. This podcast is a platform for everybody, every refereeing journey. We don't just talk about referees, we talk about all kinds of stuff, you know. So if you want to talk to us about anything, get in touch with us. We're three normal working class northerners, and we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Rousey.
I'm waiting.
Call your names.
And I'm Martin.
He's
Oh,
and he's
as other
mine.
people know
And he
me as
creates me loads of
that
work.
from Ref Support.
Oh no! It's Mystic Man now, isn't it?
Mr.
Martin.
Ooh. Can you do one of those things
Right,
where
we're
I wobble
going.
like this?
We have enough work. You keep making all these suggestions. Right, we're off. We're done. We'll see you next week. Big guest coming on. Make sure you tune in. If you haven't heard his other stuff, we've got Andy Ambler, we've got Jim White, we've got